Hello and welcome back to the 20th Century Dude channel. Today we are doing things a little bit differently. Usually I show off stuff from my home video collection, but I guess now we're going to be doing my home music collection instead. And I kind of felt like 8-track was sort of an interesting place to start. I mean, as far as things in my collection goes, I have a lot of like CDs and audio cassettes and vinyl, and that probably would be a lot to start out with. So I figured 8-track would probably be a simpler enough format to start out a home audio collection with. I mean, after all, I did go through about 6 of these things just last year that snap or broke or who knows what. And to also start out, most of these do come from my one grandmother. She grew up with these during the 70s and a little bit into the early 80s, so most of these do come from her, but a few do come from me. And to start out, we have some little trinkets here. I did show this in a previous video. It's an 8-track cassette adapter. So basically what you do is you slide a regular audio cassette into here, and then you plug this right into the machine, and it's supposed to play your audio cassettes that way. Personally, I found it's a bit mixed. One machine doesn't play it at all. Another machine does play it, but with fluctuating volume and speed, so I'll have to work on that. We also have here a blank audio cassette. There is nothing on it. You can record onto a blank 8-track just as you can a blank audio cassette. I don't have anything to record onto one of these with, so I guess a future date I will worry about that. We also have here a head cleaner. It's supposed to clean your play heads in your 8-track player the same as it would an audio cassette player, so as you can tell automatically we are starting out pretty similar. This here serves as a cleaner, but it's also a demagnetizer. And according to what Burkett Fleming said in one of the Is It Broke or Fixable episodes, is this one is a plug-in model, which he's never seen before, so obviously you need to plug this one in before you play the tape. So I didn't honestly bother to sort these properly, so I am going to be pulling them out one at a time. You're going to be seeing probably a couple of the same band or the same genre just throughout. I probably should have organized it before the start of this video, so that's my bad. To start out, this is one of the first ones I used. This is the All-Nighter from an artist called Glenn Frey. I don't know if anybody remembers this guy or not. I never heard of him until this. I got this 8-track, but at least the album is pretty sick. Here we have some John Cougar Mellencamp, or John Cougar as just some people call him. And you do have some familiar hits on here. You do have Jack and Diane and Hurt So Good. You know, the 2 tracks the radio plays all the time. So we do have some John Cougar in our collection. Here we have some Creedence Clearwater Revival. Can't really tell what album of theirs this is. I'm assuming, I honestly, I don't have a guess, really. But you have, again, a lot of the same hits. You have Born in the Bayou, Up Around the Bend, Heard It Around the Grapevine. You know, all the familiar stuff we're used to hearing, so it is on this 8-track. This one's just called The Now Explosion, original hits by original artists. So I believe this is just a mix of probably what was popular on the radio at the time. I got some soul and disco and just regular rock and roll, so I guess a whole bunch of hits on this 8-track, so pretty nice mixtape. Here we have An Innocent Man by Billy Joel. Now, I'm typically not the biggest Billy Joel fan. Billy Joel is one of my friend's favorite artists of all time. She really likes Billy Joel. I'm okay with Billy Joel. He's not my favorite, but this album was pretty nice at least. This here is the soundtrack to Saturday Night Fever. Probably one of the most, I think it's still one of the most listened to records of all time. That very well could have changed by now. This isn't the first time I've had this one, though. I had this on CD. I do have it on the original vinyl, so it's nice that now I'll get to listen to it on 8-track as well. Here we have another mix of some hits, original hits by original stars. You got Wild Cherry on there, and Barry Mann, The Spinners, Diana Ross, Bay City Rollers. So you get a lot of good stuff on here. I don't know if I listen to this 8-track yet or not. I guess I'll have to find out. Here we have the soundtrack to Beverly Hills Cop. Now I've never seen Beverly Hills Cop before, so I'm basically listening to the soundtrack before I watch the movie. So I'm gonna have to get on it and watch these movies. But you have another mix. You have music from The System and Danny Elfman, and of course some Glenn Frey again. So when I tried this the first time, I didn't even know if the tape worked, so I almost threw it out. But then I put it in another player, and it was just fine. So at least it works. We also have here, it's a disco mix, the Disco Party, as it's called on the 8-track tape. So there's just a lot of, disco hits on this 8-track. Now, it does have a song called The Hustle. Never my favorite disco song on here, so I'm going to have to try my best to get around that next time I watch it. Here we have 1984, I believe the album is called, right? I think it is, yeah, from Van Halen. Now, this was an album I always saw on Pandora, when Pandora would loop and play my classic rock playlist or my 80s playlist, so this was definitely familiar to me, and it's not a bad album. It also has the song Hot for Teacher on there, which, from what I understand, was very, very controversial at the time. I think for what it was probably alluding to in the song. And for many people who hated rock and roll or were, very anxious due to the Satanic Panic, something like that probably didn't help because it would, quote, subvert values in our children. Here we also have Burning Love from Elvis Presley. I did have a couple more Elvis 8-tracks. Unfortunately, I feel like one or two of them snapped, so I didn't really get a chance to use them at all. But I feel like this one at least survived. This isn't the first we've seen of the Bee Gees here in my collection. There's definitely more to come. Unfortunately, I feel like I did throw one out, but I think, if I remember this album correctly, this is like the early days before they went disco. Although I could be wrong, I might have to listen to that again. And up next we have the Frontier albums from Journey, which is a pretty nice album, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I've played this 8-track before, specifically, so I might have to listen to that after the making of this video. Here we have some singles from the Carpenters, which was from the 70s, for those of you who remember. I think, yeah, this is 72 it says. Here is probably one of the most famous albums of all time, Thriller by Michael Jackson, and I believe I already have this on cassette, and I think it was a homemade CD. I did have it on vinyl. Unfortunately, there was so much dirt on the record that it's basically unplayable now, unfortunately, so I don't feel like I'm going to be playing that vinyl again. But we have here the 8-track, so hopefully that works out pretty nicely. And as you can see here, I'm going to move it closer to the camera. There's evidence of tracks being moved around. Baby Me Mine is supposed to be the second track on the album, usually. But I feel like for time purposes, it looks like they put Billie Jean up second for some reason. So yeah, it looks like there's a lot of things they moved around, which is 8-track typically does that. I feel like they only have maybe even less than 20 minutes per program. Sounds like it anyway. You see, Pretty Young Thing is like cut off, and then it like comes back like halfway through. It's weird how 8-Track does it, but that's a thing, I guess. Here we have an album from Steve Perry called Street Talk, who you might remember as the lead singer in The Journey. Now, obviously, this is his solo career. I'm not familiar with his solo career at all, so this is new news to me. But it really honestly sounds just like a Journey album, so not like there's really much difference there as far as, I guess, what you'd call band distinctiveness. Here we have more Elvis. Apparently, not all my Elvis 8-tracks got destroyed. We have here some Elvis love songs specifically. I think I don't remember which antique store I got this from, so yeah, so there's some more Elvis. Here we have, I think it's some early Frank Sinatra. Now, this I definitely remember is one of the first 8-tracks I ever got, even before I got a working player in my possession. I did have AC/DC's Back in Black, along with some Wild Cherry, but unfortunately those 8-tracks did not last, but thankfully at least this one did. Here we have some REO Speedwagon. I believe this was actually recorded because there's no tracks listed on there at all. But, you know, it plays just like a normal 8-track should, so that's good, I guess. Here we have some more REO Speedwagon. The album Wheels Are Turning. So this is not pre-recorded. This is actually a genuine release on 8-track, so just clarification. And it looks like I actually grouped this together, so maybe my stuff is more organized than I thought it was. Now, this was super nice. This is the Pyromania album from Def Leppard. I am definitely listening to this later. Here we actually have a, looks like a double album from the Four Seasons. They're not my favorite, but, I mean, I'll at least keep them on 8-track. Of course, it wouldn't be old music without some Fleetwood Mac, so we have here the Mirage album from Fleetwood Mac. Of course, there's some familiar tracks like Gypsy and Oh Diane and Hold Me, which I'm sure has been played dozens and dozens of times. Yeah. I think I promised we'd had more Bee Gees, and we do have more Bee Gees here. This is the album Spirits Having Flown. This is the album Spirits Having Flown. So here's some more Bee Gees. This is a band called 38 Special on their album Tour de Force. I am not exactly the most familiar with this band at all. But I have one of their albums in my collection now, so I know that at least. Here we have an album from the band Foreigner. I'm sure most people are probably familiar with Foreigner, I would assume, anyway. Especially those growing up in the 80s and 90s. So there is some debate on which band is better, Foreigner or Journey. I personally prefer Journey, although there's plenty of fans that lean more towards Foreigner. But your taste is your own. Here we have the soundtrack to Footloose, which I actually just listened to, I think yesterday or the day before, so this was literally just recently. I have the movie on Betamax as well. Here we have the No Jacket Required album from Phil Collins. I definitely love my Phil Collins, so I'm definitely going to listen to this soon. Although the tape looks a little wonky in there, so I might have to be very careful. This is the Magical Mystery Tour album from the Beatles. And this 8-track is interesting because you can hear tracks from other programs bleed into, I think, what is it? You hear All You Need Is Love at the same time as Hello Goodbye. So that definitely adds a unintentional row, row, row your boat kind of situation there. I also have this album on vinyl, although the cover is falling apart, so I should probably do something about that. Here we have the album Heartbeat City from the band The Cars, also from the 80s. The Cars is not a band I've really listened a whole lot to, but I mean, hey, I have an album now, so maybe I'm going to have to start listening to The Cars more. Here is the She's So Unusual album from Cyndi Lauper. Now, this was a cover I saw on Pandora all the time, of course, due to my 80s playlist, so now I have the album for myself. Here is the album Make It Big from Wham. So obviously we have some George Michael on here. This band I think is called Bad Company. Doesn't say much else. That's about it. And we get some tracks on here. So guess we're just going off that. Here we have Seals and Crofts. I can't say that's exactly one of the most famous bands come out of the 70s and 80s, but here they are. Interesting enough, it comes out sideways, apparently. And usually there's like a bottom, and then the 8-track comes out of the bottom, but I guess it comes out of the side. So here's this album. And last but not least, we have the ZZ Top album Eliminator. This is the first I think I have a ZZ Top album in my collection, so that's a first for me. And the 8-track works too, which is also a plus. So other than that, that's really all I have for today. Just wanted to show off all the 8-tracks I have in my collection, and of course, now you know. So I look forward to showing you my cassettes and CDs and definitely vinyl in the near future. So otherwise, thank you for tuning in to 20th Century Dude today. Have a great rest of the week, and see ya.